Okay.
All right. Thank you all for joining us today and welcome to STEM 101 Federal Tools for Moving STEM Forward. We are happy to be here today as Albert Einstein Distinguished Educator Fellows, and we're just going to introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit about our placement and what the Albert Einstein Distinguished Educator Fellowship is all about. And then we'll move into the federal tools that you all can use to enhance your classroom. So, David, if you can take it away and go to the next slide, we'll begin with our introductions.
Yes. Hey, thank you for joining us. My name is David Lockett. I'm also an Albert Einstein Fellow. I'm a STEM and computer science teacher with over a decade of experience in the classroom. My placement this year is at the NASA Office of STEM Engagement. And I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Rachel Benzoni.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Benzoni, and I am an Albert Einstein Fellow that hails from Omaha, Nebraska. And I am placed as a congressional placement this year in the office of Congressman Raul Grijalva from Arizona.
All right, and I'll introduce myself as well. Making sure my volume is on. My name is Chanda Jefferson, and I'm an Albert Einstein Congressional Fellow in the U.S. House of Representatives. Currently, I work as a legislative assistant for a member of Congress managing his education portfolio, which covers early childhood education, K-12, and higher education. In my role, I'm able to use my expertise from teaching in the classroom to inform STEM education and education policy. Prior to going to the Hill, I was a high school life science teacher and STEM lead teacher in rural Winnsboro, South Carolina for 10 years. And last year I was named the 2020 South Carolina Teacher of the Year. It's been so wonderful to have the opportunity to share resources, strategies, and innovations with educators across the nation. So we're so happy to be here today and share these resources with you. David, if you can go ahead and move forward. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
You can go ahead and move forward so we can talk a little bit about the Albert Einstein Fellowship Program. So before explaining the general information about the Albert Einstein Fellowship, I want to encourage everybody that's out there to apply for the fellowship. And the reason I say that is because the fellowship has been actively looking to increase the number of computer science teachers and participants or people with computer science background. So the Albert Einstein Distinguished Educator Fellowship provides a unique opportunity for accomplished K-12 educators in the field of science, technology, engineering, and math to serve in the nation's education arena. So we serve in these different congressional offices or federal agencies for 11 months, and we apply the knowledge from our classroom to help affect education policy and to help with other national education programs. At the end of the fellowship, some educators go home equipped with a national network and lots of STEM education resources and a renewed passion for teaching. The AF Fellowship is housed in the U.S. Department of Energy, and is a phenomenal opportunity to broaden your network and gives you the opportunity to actually develop your own personalized professional development plan. David is going to share a little bit more information about the current sponsoring agencies so that you'll know a little bit more about what AEF does and where our fellows are housed this year.
So I like to start here because my fellowship brought me to NASA. And coming from the classroom to NASA was a wonderful experience. And sharing some of these tools with you today, I'm going to give you a good idea about how you can cultivate collaboration among your students, how you can bring new innovation, and you can bring in new exploration opportunities for your students. The first one I'd like to talk with you about is the NASA Space Apps Challenge. This is a challenge that I was involved with as a classroom teacher on multiple occasions. The Space Apps Challenge serves as a platform for innovation and civic engagement for students worldwide. Participants from all backgrounds are welcome. The common thread among Space Apps challenges is that you're interested in not only in computer science, but space science and exploration as well. As part of the Space Apps Challenge, you're involved in a global hackathon community that embraces different cultures across different borders, different sectors, and different paradigm shifting innovation challenges. Space App challenges different solutions, and it brings about different ways to engage. For Space Apps challenges, teams of scientists, technologists, students, computer science from all over the world come together to collaborate and answer some of the most pressing challenges on Earth and in space. With the Space Apps challenges, some of the most important challenges, things like sea rise level, COVID-19 challenges. These particular challenges involve a wide variety of activities that you can participate in. So when we think about paradigm shifting innovation and collaboration across borders, the Space Apps Challenge is definitely one that you can think about getting into. And another challenge, and this one's brand new. This one's called the Earth Observation Dashboard Hackathon. And just like it says, we're calling coders, scientists, designers, makers. This particular challenge involves bringing global teams together to create solutions that are centered around Earth observation. Now, over the past few months, we dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic. This particular challenge brings together and leverages collective scientific minds and various agencies to look at how the pandemic affected our environment. The dashboard brings together things like food production, air pollution, ship traffic, water quality, and more. In this particular challenge, it invites not only coders, scientists, and students abroad, but it brings you into a virtual event to where you can participate in these various challenges using data across the dashboard. This particular challenge brings about different things that you can bring in order to understand the environment around you. Now, again, the platform is computer science, and creating solutions to these challenges is what the EO Dashboard Hackathon is all about. Now, if you take a look at this particular map, it's the COVID-19 impact seen by satellite. Now, if you look at various global indicators on the particular challenge, they look at air quality, greenhouse gases, population, COVID-19 data. All of this retrospective data comes together through a virtual event. This particular event involves how human activity caused by the pandemic affects the environment and things like air pollution, water quality. How can we better prepare our students, and how can we better prepare them using computer science? Again, this virtual event, where you'll come together in teams, will involve you solving several challenges according to the COVID-19 pandemic using data from the dashboard. And again, completely interactive. Now, another site that we can use is the NASA AtHome site. And this is one that I contributed to throughout my fellowship. And this particular site, NASA's AtHome site, brings together new discoveries, research, and exploration, all from the comfort of your own home. This particular site highlights activities, research opportunities, and different resources for families and students. In this particular site, it provides access to everything from formal lessons to do-it-yourself projects to AR and VR projects to podcasts. This particular site also brings about new ways that you can explore NASA at home. If you want to practice safe science at home, there's many opportunities to participate in citizen science to contribute to real-world and ongoing research. Everything from solar science in your backyard to backyard astronomy. This particular site also features ongoing opportunities to interact and hear from NASA agency experts. For example, Christina Koch. There's various children's books as well that you can participate in, and engaging activities for day-to-day lessons. And another site that we can share in is the DOD Stem Site. STEM is our future. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is a gateway to a world of wonder. And the Department of Defense STEM site does just that. In this particular site, the DOD site brings together leading edge and some of the nation's most advanced technological breakthroughs. I've listed a few that you can participate in with students, such as the CSTEP program, Computer Science Intern Program, Cyber Summer Program, and the High School Work Study Program. These particular projects bring about and support a wide variety of programs, competitions, and internships for students and professional development and training for educators. The particular site, the DOD STEM site, is an excellent site where you can learn about STEM opportunities in your area and online. You can also build robots, solve real-world problems, and work next to scientists at cutting-edge STEM DOD laboratories. But did you also know that DOD STEM offers potential opportunities for STEM educators and current workforce to work on cutting-edge projects, such as solving real-world problems? You can do that here at the DOD STEM site. This particular site brings together not only professionals, including scientists, but engineers, manufacturers, and more. Continue to check out these amazing opportunities as we move throughout each session. And I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Einstein Fellow, Rachel Benzoni.
All right. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to share first one little piece of a federal STEM tool that I've really enjoyed and I've got kind of a personal connection to. And then I'm going to go into a little bit more about what the fellowship looks like on Capitol Hill, and I'll share with you some computer science connections that we have on Capitol Hill as well. So go ahead, David, to our first one. And I'm actually going to link this for you as well in the chat. So one of the reasons I really wanted to point out this USGS application that we have is one, USGS is a new partner that's come on to the Einstein Fellowship this year. As David has filled you in a little bit, the Einstein Fellowship places the fellows either at agencies or on Capitol Hill. David, for example, is at one of the agencies. Chanda and I are both on Capitol Hill. And the USGS agency has actually expanded, I believe, to 2 fellows for the upcoming year. So they've been really, really wonderful partners. But I've got a very personal connection. The second director of the USGS was my great uncle, John Wesley Powell. So I'm always very excited when the USGS gets in the news for anything, and I was very excited that it came on as a partner. Yes, it is 4 greats. It was the 1850s. And so this is actually a site that's under construction. And so you'll actually look if you go to that particular website. But they are going to be aggregating some of the USGS's educational resources that use data to teach scientific concepts. So I know a lot of computer science teachers are often asked to wear multiple hats, especially for those science teachers that are struggling, like me sometimes, to integrate data into their classroom. So your input as the website is developed, especially as computer science teachers that have to work with a little bit more raw data than us 3 science teachers have to sometimes, your input is always welcomed. So please, as this is being built, make sure that you contribute your input. It really, on the federal level, you would be very, very surprised. I know I was, that they very much value your input. So if you don't feel like your input is valued now, it will be valued on the federal level, which is one of the reasons why we are really pushing you, especially you being computer science teachers, to join us as future Einstein Fellows. So the next application is the one that I'm actually really excited about, because my own, not the person I'm working for, but my own representative from Nebraska is actually participating in this year. So being on Capitol Hill, Chanda and I share some similarities in our jobs, but you, depending on who you're with, you may have very, very different things. So Chanda may focus almost entirely on education versus, and I can't speak for her, but this might be an example, she might focus entirely on education, while myself, I have a number of different policy issues that I focus on. There are fellows that will be coming in that will be working primarily on outreach. for their congressional offices, versus my experience has been working almost entirely on the policy side, and working some outreach, but really learning how, I believe, how a bill makes it on Capitol Hill, and really how that whole process has worked. I've been able to actually watch a bill go from an idea to being written to introduced and it being circulated. Unfortunately, it did not make it into the American Rescue Plan. We were very excited about it too, but I've been able to actually be there at the inception of a bill or the rewriting of a bill that we've reintroduced every single Congress. So it's been really exciting to kind of dip my toes into many different areas of policy, and it's informed some of my decisions going forward. That's not really my place to talk about here, but if you want to, we can connect offline for you to hear what some of my plans are going forward after the fellowship is done. But in that line, for you, especially you computer science teachers, we really need you on board with the Congressional App Challenge. So in the Congressional App Challenge, students will create and submit their original apps, and they can use any programming language and any platform. And they can really approach it with any application, theme, or topic. So I'm actually going to throw in the chat for you some examples of what previous students were able to do on the Congressional App Challenge. And your students do have to be middle or high school students, which, I mean, I don't imagine you're going to have many computer science students that are in elementary school, but you never know. We may have the next Mozart. And they have to compete in either the district in which they reside, so the congressional district in which they reside, or it has to be the district in which they attend school, which actually does happen. My congressional district, for example, is a very, 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 it's a district within a bigger district within a bigger district. So about half of the students in the southern half of one of the counties in my district actually belong to the 1st Congressional District of Nebraska. So they may reside in one district, but go to school in one where they are eligible. And they are able to compete either as an individual or in teams of up to 4. And as you see on here, at least half the teammates have to be eligible to compete within the district. So you can have a kid from, say, Nebraska, 2 kids working from the western half of the state and 2 kids working the eastern half of the state, but 2 of those students have to at least be residing in the district in which they're participating in. And if it's an odd number like 3, you have to have at least 2. So it's got to be 2 out of 3. Go ahead, David, to our next slide. And so every spring, winning teams from their district will actually be invited to Capitol Hill, and they're able to demonstrate to the representatives during a celebration called House of Code. And they will actually be able to see their apps displayed at the U.S. Capitol building. They'll be able to talk with some of the coders around. There are a number of different sponsors that they're able to talk to. And they're able to talk to community organizations and talk about either pathways to careers in STEM, ways that they can leverage either their app or their skills in building that app into careers, or even potentially running for Congress themselves and really bringing the expertise of a student who's been in computer science to Capitol Hill. And P.S., they need both you and them on Capitol Hill. So do not let any fears of running for office or telling your students to run for office keep you from doing that. There are obviously some wonderful success stories, and it really all it takes is guts and a willingness to go out and meet people. So next one for me, please. And then I just wanted to show you some of the past winners. So Do Nation in UC is from Jackie Spears' congressional district. The CalcuSaver by Elizabeth Saunders. And if you wanted to find out, does my congressperson or does my student's congressperson actually participate? The Congressional App Challenge actually goes live this Thursday. So it will go live this Thursday for you to participate. And I've just thrown in the chat some of the participating districts. My representative is actually participating this year. So from Nebraska District 2. But if you are not able to, if your person's not participating, I would highly suggest that you contact them. And I will throw in the chat a suggested, you don't have to do this, but a suggested way just a form letter that you can use to contact your congressperson. Honestly, all they really have to do is just host it. They don't really have to do a lot of work. They get a lot of the credit and a lot of the hey, my students in my district are doing really well. So I would highly suggest for you as a computer science teacher, or if your students are just interested in finding ways to leverage the things that they are using in their class, or just wanting to really show off their skills on a national stage, for your students to participate in the Congressional App Challenge. So I will actually pass this on to Chanda, who's going to take it home for us in her apps.
All right. Thank you so much, Rachel, for talking about all of those wonderful resources that are offered on Capitol Hill. Especially my congressman actually also hosts the Congressional App Challenge in our district, and it's been phenomenal to see what some of the students come up with. But I'm going to take y'all on a road trip from Capitol Hill to the Smithsonian Museums. And David, if you can, go ahead and go to the next slide. Thank you. So I actually teach in a rural area, and for any teachers that might teach in rural areas or schools where you just don't have the income or the funding to take students on lots of field trips, I had to get creative and figure out, okay, how can I bring resources and cool innovations to my classroom? So one of my absolute favorite resources is the Smithsonian Learning Lab. If somebody could put that in the chat. The Smithsonian Learning Lab. The Smithsonian Learning Lab gives teachers, educators, and students access to all of the 19 museums, the 9 major research centers, and the National Zoo, and much more. So this is a space for many curated documents and resources, articles, and everything like that that teachers can access. So Smithsonian Learning Lab is an interactive website for discovery and creative use of Smithsonian's digital collections and tools. And it has more than 1 million images, videos, texts, audio recordings, and activities. The platform supports deep, meaningful learning with an online universe of authentic resources and tools for making them your own. And the cool part about it is free. When you go to the website, I had the idea of actually showing you guys how to interact with it, but we don't have those capabilities, but I'll just kind of talk through it. When you go to the website, you actually log in. So you create a login, and you can actually do it through your Google. And they might even have the option for Facebook and LinkedIn as well. And there's 4 major sections that this resource is divided into. The first area is Discover. So if you click on Discover, you'll be able to type in computer science. I'm going to talk about computer science since I'm amongst a lot of computer science educators. When you type in computer science, you'll be able to find artifacts, photos, videos, articles related to your lesson, and you can download those and embed them into your lesson. The next thing that you can do on this website is creating something called a collection. So you can essentially design like a slide or a collection of resources to use in your classroom. One of the ones that I wanted to show you all today, so I designed one for you all today, were attention getters in computer science. And one of them showed you like one of the first computer ever utilized or invented in the United States. And then it also had resources about women in computer science. What happened to the women in computer science? So there are all of these artifacts that you can create a collection for students to actually go through and investigate the topic of computer science and data collection. One of the other things that is cool about this feature or this resource is that it's actually a network. So teachers from all across the nation, all across the globe can sign on and create collections. So you have the opportunity to engage and interact with other teachers' collections and edit them however you would like to suit your lesson plans or your curriculum as well. most of mine currently, because I'm still working through them, they are unpublished. So they're not something that I can share, but I do plan on sharing the computer science attention getters for you all. So when you log in and create a access for yourself, you'll be able to find me in this computer science attention getters collection and have access to all of those articles. So you can choose to share your content that you create, or you can kind of keep it to yourself for your students. So you can download these artifacts, share it, and you can also set up lessons. So set up logins for your students to go in and complete the lessons that you compile for them. The last thing that I really like about this site is they have a section called Learn. So the staff at the Smithsonian create professional development opportunities for teachers to be able to go in and learn how to effectively utilize the Learning Lab inside of their classroom. And they have something called office hours as well. So you can contact the Learning Lab if you have like a burning question that you would like to ask the staff and ask them how to utilize a resource. You can just sign up for office hours. So that is the Smithsonian Learning Lab. I can spend hours talking about that, but I encourage everyone out there to go to that website, get a login, and just begin to explore it. All right, David, can you go on to my next resource?
Yes.
All right. So as I mentioned before, I'm a rural science teacher, but I'm also a biology teacher. So one of the things that I enjoy is searching for federal opportunities for professional development. And when I was trying to enhance my molecular biology unit, I formed a partnership with the National Human Genome Research Institute. And each summer they host something called a short genomics course. And once again, as a biology teacher, I'm always looking for ways to teach interdisciplinary lessons. So how does this align with computer science? What does that mean for you all? So if you're a computer science teacher and you're looking for ways to incorporate scientific data analysis and bioinformatics into your classroom, the short genomics course is something that'll be for you. The course offers STEM educators the opportunity to hear lectures and receive teaching resources from leading researchers, clinicians, and staff. Topics include complex diseases, sequencing technologies, brain and behavior, and bioinformatics. So all of these issues related to heredity, genetics, and it talks about, the infusion between computer science and your life sciences. So it definitely gives us the opportunity to break down those silos and those barriers, teaching things separately, and just showing the interdisciplinary interconnections between different subjects and research and scientific research. So a little bit more about that program. STEM teachers from all across the nation, we actually get to network with scientists and learn about the cutting edge research in genomics. We also got to go to the supercomputing sequencing laboratory and learned a lesson from a high school teacher in bioinformatics, how they are using computers to sequence DNA or to store DNA sequences, and for scientists to analyze the difference between DNA and how some of these mutations in our genetic material might cause genetic disorders, and how these technologies are used in crime scene investigation, genetic counseling, ancestral research, and much more. So the National Institutes of Health and National Human Genome Research Institute, they provide tons of resources in that area. And it actually might lead you to celebrating DNA Day. So what is DNA Day? DNA Day is just a celebration every year on April 25th, where we celebrate the discovery of DNA by Rosalind Franklin and Francis Watson and Crick. And one of the ways that you can embed this into your classroom is having an emphasis on how computer science and bioinformatics play a role in genomics analysis today. So DNA Day, there are tons of resources on the website there. It has a starter kit for individuals. It has press releases if it's something that you want to make a large and a wide community event. It is phenomenal. And David, if you'll go ahead and go to my last and final resource. All right. The last resource that I wanted to share with you all, this is also one that I shared with scientists when I talked about teachers really wanting to incorporate classroom-ready data resources. Sometimes it's hard to access data and create activities for students to engage with large amounts of data, but the U.S. Department of Commerce actually does it well with its National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, resources. So NOAA gives educators and students access to real-time data from our atmosphere and ocean, and it's packaged in an easily accessible, classroom-friendly lesson plans, activities, and curricula. My favorite resource is shown here on the screen. It's the NOAA Data in the Classroom, where students use real-time ocean data to explore today's pressing environmental issues and develop problem-solving skills employed by scientists. Teachers can use these resources, and they already have ready-made activities ready for students to click on and interact with. And one of my favorite ones on there is investigating, or the example of it is investigating coral reef bleaching. Students use real data to investigate the consequences of rising sea surface temperatures on coral reefs. They also consider the importance of coral reefs in their own lives, and it contains teacher resources and the student investigation for this particular website. So I encourage you all, I know that was a lot, but all of these resources, just go in there and click on the website and see what you can find. They also offer different fellowships for teachers to participate in to learn more about how to utilize these resources as well. All right, David?
So we've included a call to action. I know we've given you a lot of information, a lot of different sites, a lot of different activities, lots of different challenges, but we want to have this call to action to you. We want you to get involved. Will every site fit and work for you? Probably not. Will some? Yes. Find one that works for you. Find one that works for you and your students. We've shared a variety of activities, a variety of solutions, a variety of ways that you can get involved. Also many ways that you can solve problems. So use these sites, integrate them across the board, and we'll each share, something in a call to action that you can get involved.
And I would just encourage everybody. These are just a few federal agencies. You can Google the list and you'll see tons of them come up. And that's how I found each summer I participate in a professional development activity. Sometimes it's, 2 weeks, sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's even a month. And I found opportunities to enhance my classroom curriculum by going to these federal agency site. And some of the key words to look for is education resources, outreach. So every federal agency, or I wouldn't say everyone, but most of them have a space where they want to get involved with education, especially our K-12 education, and make sure that students have access to what is going on in the federal government. And this also helps our students out with college and career readiness, because it's giving them a taste of what it's like to work in some of these federal agencies and what's actually happening in modern day. And sometimes they're even looking for teachers like you and I to contribute and to help enhance some of their programs. Right now, I work on the National Institutes of Health. I work with them on a teacher committee where I'm helping them create global DNA resources, where I'm helping them curate educator resources to create a repository for teachers. So they would like our help and they would like our input and expertise. and going to those websites create that opportunity. It creates that opportunity for you all.
And just to kind of wrap it up on our call to action, as you noticed, both Chanda and I are on Capitol Hill, and that's been a really integral part of the Einstein Fellowship. But it's also a really important part of you as a computer science teacher, and with your students. We do not exist in a vacuum. And it's going to be really important for our students in the next few years to, no matter, and I know that we all know it's no matter what political stripe that you are, it's going to be really important for you, for our kids, to really become involved in where science, where computer science, where STEM goes in the future. So this is computer science for social good. And one of the best social goods for our students to be involved in is to be civically involved. So whether they decide to go meet their congressperson through the Congressional App Challenge, or they choose to do what others do, and they simply ask for a meeting with their congressperson to say, hey, this is what's important to me, either as a student of computer science or just a student in general, to say, this is, I am the future. I need you to understand what needs to be in place. You who are in power right now, this is what I need you to put in place for me in the future. So I would highly encourage all of you, any of you that are interested, A, to check out that Einstein Fellowship, which I threw in the chat, but B, also to get involved yourself, to encourage your students to get involved, because the people here are listening. We are listening to you, and the people who represent you, the people who work at these federal agencies, really, they have you in their sights, and they are always constantly working for you. I think Chanda, David, and I can attest to how important you all are to them. We have heard them say it to us. We have heard them say it about you. That you, our students, are some of the most important people.
All right, great. Awesome. Are there any questions for the panel? Please post them in the chat. Just going through the chat, making sure I didn't miss any. And can you just confirm that I got all the links in there? I was trying to post them as you all were mentioning the resources. Oh, there's a question from Julia. Will you be sharing the slide deck?
Yes, we'll be sharing the slide deck, and we made sure that each picture, they're interactive. So when you click on a picture, like if it's the National DNA Day resources, you'll go straight to the site with all the resources. The USGS, all of that, you'll have access to it. And especially the website on the Smithsonian Learning Lab, you'll go straight to the video that shows you how to create a login and how to navigate throughout the site, along with the resources for NASA that David presented as well. So the slide deck will be interactive for you, and you can use this presentation with your school. So we encourage that, so that you share all of these resources in your classrooms and, with your computer science community, but also with any STEM teacher inside your building. Thanks, Julia.
Any other questions from the participants?
I would highly encourage you, by the way, if you'd noticed, we put our Twitter handles on there. Our fellowship actually does an Ed Chat I believe every third Thursday of the month at around 7:30 Eastern time. So we highly encourage you to participate in that, especially if you are interested in becoming an Einstein Fellow. Really get to know the people that are on, that are current Einstein Fellows, past Einstein Fellows, and some of the people that are actually running the program.
That's a good point, Rachel. I would like to chime in and say, following us, you'll also gain another network of people as well, because as Einstein Fellows, we do a lot of presentations. This is one that we're doing on STEM 101, but some of us do presentations in our focal areas as well, be it physical sciences, biological sciences, chemistry. So some of those focal presentations and our connections with federal agencies such as opportunities with the NIH, those will pop up on our Twitter feeds as well. One of my favorite things to do as the South Carolina Teacher of the Year and as an Einstein Fellow is sharing resources with teachers and sharing some of the new innovations, some of the things that I didn't know about, so that we can just enhance our classrooms, because ultimately we want all of our kids to be successful. And it's networking is one of the ways that we can be successful. So please, take a moment to follow us, reach out to us with questions. I love taking questions through my Twitter direct message, and I'm sure my colleagues do as well, Rachel and David. So we're here for you, and we'll even point you in the right direction to taking off with some of these federal tools.
Yes, please connect.
Did you all want to drop your emails in the chat, or are you going to have those? I guess I see them on the slide here. Do you have the link to the slide ready, or?
We can put our emails in the chat, and we can also add the link to the slide in the chat as well.
Awesome. And we are also curating a document with all the resources that we've been getting out this last 2 days for the summit, and we're going to send that out at the end of the week. And also, don't forget the sessions are recorded, so if you know someone that couldn't make it, they will be up on our YouTube channel to view later. Thank you. Excellent. Great resources.
The link to the slides will be available in a moment. I'm trying to copy and paste that right now. So for anyone that's waiting around, and we'll also embed it within our presentation too.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, we still have a few more minutes, so if there's any more questions or anyone has any comments that they would like to contribute to this session, please do so.
One thing that we didn't mention in our intro that would be cool to go around and say, can David and Benzoni, would y'all like to share some of your proudest moments during the fellowship, like something amazing that you've been able to work on as an Albert Einstein Fellow?
Definitely. Yes. Rachel, you want to share?
Yeah, so I've really gotten the opportunity working with the congressman to spend some time and just learning about how the policy process works. And I actually got to be there for and if you do decide to be on Capitol Hill, something called the markup of the American Rescue Plan that passed in March. There's a long process that it takes to actually get the bills onto the floor to be able to vote on. But I got to watch the stimulus package move from being introduced to going through the committees that it needed to go through, and then finally onto the floor and being able to watch how the stimulus package is rolled out, and being able to just participate in that has been really, really, really cool. So some of just the policy work that I've been able to do, plus I've been able to work on some really important passion projects to me. I've got a particular soft spot in my heart for English learners, and I've been really, really able to work pretty significantly with legislation that affects those kids and their families. So that's been something that's been really close to my heart and something that's been really impactful over the last year.
Hey, and I'd like to share as well, as a classroom teacher, as a STEM and computer science teacher, I was involved in a variety of NASA competitions and experiments and projects in the classroom. My school was located in Central Florida, Bach Academy, and we were very close to the Space Coast. So that enabled, we could walk outside and see a launch. But at the same time, we could participate in a lot of projects virtually. And having the opportunity to serve my fellowship at the NASA Office of STEM Engagement has been amazing. Providing input on various projects, how can we, make projects, how can we make projects better? How can we differentiate them for different groups of students? How can we involve more students? That's been some of my proudest moments, coming from the classroom and, being involved in these projects, having firsthand knowledge of them. It's truly amazing. So, make sure that you are, you're staying involved, make sure that you are, communicating with all of your stakeholders. Why? Because they want to hear, what's happening in your classroom. They definitely want your insight. They definitely want your opinion on this because, all of these projects, you really want your students to be active and you want to be involved. So, don't be afraid to, share your opinion, be involved, get as involved as you can and take those steps when you're activating those lessons.
And I'll be really quick with sharing my proudest moment. Before coming to the fellowship, I toured the country talking about strategies, sharing with legislators and higher education officials about diversifying the teacher workforce. So that's one of my areas of passion, because growing up and becoming a scientist and majoring in biological sciences, I only had one African-American female science teacher. And it was because of her that I built up the confidence to pursue biological sciences as a degree. And it's also because of her that I kind of paid it forward and found myself back in the classroom doing the same thing for kids that she did for me. So I had the opportunity to draft legislation related to diversifying the teacher workforce and continue to share solutions about how we can get more teachers of color, teachers that have disabilities, how we can get them in front of kids, because we all know it's truly impactful. Research even shows how it increases student success when they see a teacher that looks like them. So that's been amazing to have the opportunities to work in that arena. And I also presented before former Secretary of Education, John King, about these issues when they released their new teacher diversity policy tool. So it's basically a tool that scans all 50 states to see, if they actually have systems in place to create a more diverse teacher workforce. So it's been amazing to be able to continue to do what I call heart work, because it's something I'm passionate about, to do this hard work and to see some of these ideas for diversifying the teacher workforce come to fruition, because we know that's one of the priorities of our current administration and our current Secretary of Education as well.
Thank y'all for sharing those stories. Amazing stories. And again, thank you again for your presentation and for sharing your time with us today. Lots of resources to take back, lots and lots of resources, like so many, like I filled up a whole page worth. So thank you so much, you all.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us.
All right. Well, if there's no further questions, we'll head to the next session. Thank you all again.